Hello everybody, welcome along to round 3 of RP series, here today at Oulton Park. Different format once again for you, another 60-minute race, this time with 2 mandatory stops for tyres. Should be a very interesting format indeed. Saw last week the battle with no pit stops and a 70-minute sprint, and what drama that threw up, so we will have to keep a very close eye on all of the action today. Round about a couple minutes left in practice, and we head into the 20-minute qualifying session. Already some fast times being set around the track, as there is a one of the wins McLarens off at turn 1. I believe that was Thomas Jack. So Oulton Park, 2.5 miles of British countryside club racing circuit. Not exactly everything you think of when it comes to GT3 racing, but always sure to throw up a lot of action with plenty of opportunities to overtake. Let's perhaps jump on with a lap here with Robin Moe barreling down towards turn 1, a very kind of late apex, swing it around, use all of the track, avoid the Mercedes there on the right hand side, now breaking down in the downhill left hander. Very easy to track the car out wide on exit here. Can do a little bit, but not too much here at Island Bend on the fast left hander. Big lift there, and I'm sure this section is going to throw up a lot of action come the race. And Robin Moe's off. Pick up with Daniel Scott in the other wins Copa Sucar McLaren Evo. Island Bend here again, another big lift most likely. Oh, and off again, and as I said, it's this section is going to be very interesting on the first lap. Here we go, jump back up with Cookie as he rounds the hairpin into the first chicane. Very tight right-left, or it's left-right I should say. Almost off camber there, so it's quite difficult to keep the car in check, and you barrel now down towards the slowest of the chicanes. Slight lift here, back on the power as early as possible, because this next section is flat out. Pound over the hill down towards Druid's Corner, fast off camber right-hander. This section is very tricky to get right, especially with a full load of fuel, using all the track there. And then down towards the final corner, Lodge Corner. Very tempting to throw it in and get on the power early, but the bump tends to throw the rear wing out, or the rear end of the car out. Cookie into the pits, maybe that's his final practice of pit entry. Hopefully you have some idea of what we're in for. A very good track indeed. It's one of my favorite tracks in the game. It's exceptionally fun in the TCR cars. ECX maybe, is that what it's called? Oh, and we move into qualifying with heavy rain. And this is definitely going to throw a lot of the drivers off. I know a lot of drivers actually did prepare for some wet weather running. A 15-minute qualifying session, so I do stand corrected. You can tell there's a big delay in getting out as everybody loading their wet weather setups. You know, already traffic jam at pit exit. Beautiful Gulf liveried style. I don't think I actually have his livery. There were some technical issues before the stream today, so I might not have everybody's liveries, but I'm willing to bet Train Boy running the Gulf inspired livery on the Porsche. Already, it's a lot of frantic battling. People desperately trying to get out. Well, their quali laps early. Looks like it will be a fully wet qualifying session, and maybe a lot of this will carry over into the race. But should there be mixed conditions, there are, as I said, 2 pit stops. Robin Moe taking a little venture off track there. It is raining indeed. Wet Oulton is probably about as realistic as it's going to get. Any track on the calendar where it's going to be pouring down, it will be this one. Looks like Daniel Scott may have been the first to begin a timed lap, so we'll see how he gets on in these weather conditions. All looking actually fairly well balanced. And as you can see from this shot, it is a very bumpy racetrack as well. As I said, this is essentially a club racing circuit, so not like the FIA Grade 1 listed tracks that we've been seeing. Grade 1 and Grade 2. I think Watkins Glen has its Grade 2. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. Oh, and very sent it over the curb there, did Daniel Scott. That will upset the chassis and lose him a little bit of on-power traction. So it looks like we have potentially, two of these Wins Copa Sucar McLaren Evos on track. Daniel Scott in the silver class and Thomas Jack in the platinum class. Track, although wet, not looking terrible. You know it's bad when you see pools of standing water. Traction control doing its job there. Daniel Scott crossing the line, putting in a 140. Corey Davis ending up in P4. As Bingus McBongus, we saw a fantastic volley session from him last round at Watkins Glen. Expecting some big things here as well. Hopefully some better luck this time round, as Thomas Jack dipping under the 1 minute 40s, as did Bingus McBongus actually. And then Robin Moe promptly smashing that with a 38 in the Porsche. The Manti livery actually just been chosen, that team in real life, to represent, to be a factory team, I believe, or it was something. They were chosen to represent Porsche in WEC or something similar, I'm not sure. But big news is they are stalwarts of the in real life endurance racing scene. Thomas Jack putting in some great times right now. Someone else who's on a good lap is Yamik Smith in the big old Boatley. Seems like it's doing okay in the rain. Safety bollards strewn across the track already. It's never going to be long before those made an appearance in the middle of the road. And quite a lot of grip on offer, it seems, for the Bentley. Currently 7/10 up on his previous best time in these conditions. Only 9 minutes left of qualifying, so Track evolution is not going to be a factor in this session. Ymeek Smith up into 5th overall. Really solid lap from him as Tobias Vengerek, about to cross the line with a decent time, beats Ymeek Smith to that P5 spot. A familiar top 6 then, as yellow flags just showing there for Jürgen Zesheisen. I do believe that was just him slowing up to get a gap in front to begin this next flying lap. Jürgen Zesheisen currently 3rd overall, top of silver class in qualifying. Closely followed by Bingus McBongus. Lovely 4-wheel drift on the exit of turn 1 there. The two Lambos very even in pace. Keep an eye on them in the race. Sure, we'll see them side by side at some point. Oh, camera just playing catch up there. And the Helicam actually doing a really good job of showing just how narrow this track is. 3 wide really not an option here, whereas most of the other tracks we've been to, 3 wide is definitely doable. Expecting a lot of tight, close quarters battles today. Good Sector 1, actually best Sector 1 so far from Cookie already, and I just cursed him there as he got very, very sideways on the exit of the second chicane. Down into Druids. Oh, jumping over the inside curb, that can sometimes be death. You just see the other Lambo warming its tyres there, beginning another lap. And Cookie actually invalidating his lap, I think, on the exit of the second chicane. Thomas Jack currently sitting 10th and a half above Robin Moe, and is currently 3.5 tenths up on that lap time. McLaren actually looking very, very nimble in the wet. You saw how quickly it changed directions there in the chicane, making it look like a dry track. And the Porsche going wide, that's going to be a common sight today, I feel. Check actually losing a little bit of time. I think might have lifted a little bit once he saw that Porsche go off. Still up. Best sector 2 time for Thomas Jack as well. So he's going to cross the line, dip into the 37s. Robin Moe now with half a second to make up should he want that pole position. Now we just see in the background there Pierre Moreno looking like he's struggling with the balance of that car. For a big slide there through the downhill left-hander. Oh, and just decides to abort altogether. Michael Randall crossing the line. He's going to bump up a couple of spaces, I think. Or perhaps not. He improved his lap time by 6 tenths there, but didn't move up. Know the feeling. Benjamin Walrack currently almost a second up on his lap time. Should net him P10 if he can keep it together. Swinging it out wide there. Just makes P11 exactly the same time as Aaron Fiedlek. And Aaron actually beginning a timed lap in just a second. Not seeing a lot of improvement from many cars right now. Perhaps conditions getting worse as the rain continues to fall. Robin Moe only currently 1/100th of a second up on his lap time right now. Nowhere near enough to bump Thomas Jack off of that top spot. Pierre Moreno still yet to set a time, so it makes me think he is struggling big time. And there is somewhat of a drier line through the track. Straight over the curbs there like it was nothing. QP Audi looking very composed in the rain. Aaron currently 0.3 up on his best lap time right now. Has actually gained a huge amount of time into that second chicane. Makes me think he may have been caught up in some traffic earlier on in the session. Only 3 minutes left of qualifying. How time flies. 15 minutes, not a very long time at all. So Aaron, it will cross the track. I think he may gain a position. He will. Leaves Philip Schmidt behind a little bit. Exactly half a tenth to be exact. Just jumping on with Pierre Moreno currently on his outlap. Needs to set a time, only probably has 2 more timed laps. Dingus McBongus currently improving on his lap time as well, chasing down the other Lamborghini of Suicidal Cookie. I should say Jürgen Zerscheisen. Too easy to do that. Has that Lexus in front of him, perhaps a bit of traffic. Lexus also on a fast lap, under no obligation to let McBongus through. And a couple of cars off there trying to avoid him, I think. Just getting out of the way. Through Lodge. Over through the Deer Leap. Moves up to P3, however, Cookie right behind him takes that immediately away. 10th and a half or so in it. So a great battle from these two Lamborghinis as Robin Moe, like he improved on his previous lap time. Gap's now only 0.3 to pole position. Currently 2.5 up. It'll be close. I don't think he's going to take pole this time. Oh, 0.5 in it. And last chance saloon, I think, for Robin Moe as Thomas Jack making his way down into Druids. And looks like he'll improve on his lap time also. He'll extend the gap out in front to take pole position of Platinum class and overall. Well, has actually lost a lot of time into Lodge. Gonna make the job a little bit easier for Robin Moe. Only 0.13 seconds separating the top two. Let's just find out where Pierre Moreno is. Like he'll set a lap here, but will begin his final chance. That is Pierre Moreno's first timed lap. That's him, P6. 7 cars all within a tenth, well, all within a second, I should say. Despite the mix there, a lot of platinum drivers and silver drivers towards the top of the grid. And Robin Moe, I think, actually might have just lost it for a second there. Let's find out. There's the Ferrari under blue flags. Oh, stewards will definitely take a look at that. Not sure if he was up on his time at that point. As I said, it will be something the stewards will look at. Ymeek Smith currently up on his lap time. Be enough to beat out Pierre Moreno, who does actually head back to the pit. So P6 will be best case scenario for him today. Ymeek pounding down towards Lodge. Again, looking very composed in the rain. No No spinning of the tyres at the rear. No going sideways out of there. Unique Smith taking P5. Bingus McBongus currently finishing out his lap. Doing a little better on time. Just saw the 256 Lamborghini come across the line and take P10 on the timing screen. Bingus McBongus currently the last one out with a green Delta. He's actually lost the green Delta through its corner. Perhaps got a little bit upset. Very easy to do so, especially if you touch the curb. And I think he's done. He's not gonna gain any time here, and that will end qualifying. Thomas Jack sitting on the top of the grid. Robin Moe closely behind. You see there on the side. 2 pit stops to make. Whoops. Not sure if safety car will be necessary today, but we do have it. I said turn 1 is going to be the most interesting. So Thomas Jack sitting on top of Platinum and overall Robin Moe just behind. Jürgen Scheisen P3 and Bingus McBongus in P4, so we've got a double Lambo second row. And both of these guys actually in silver class, as you can see. Ahead of Unique Smith, Bengarek and Pierre Moreno. Actually ending up finishing P7. Really struggled with that car. Rain for the foreseeable future. Next 30 minutes at least. Especially with a 1 hour race. So wets all around. Daniel Scott nestling back there in the other wins car in P8. That'll actually be P3 for silver class. Rainboy not too far behind. Leading up the pole position in the bronze class. Going to be Ben Walrack. HCR Ferrari. Always good to see it out on track. And his teammate actually there at the back in the Nissan GTR, rounding out the back of the grid. And Alexander Close in the Uncle Ben's car. And Ryan Page splitting the difference between those two. And there we do actually see the safety car back there. Sure, we'll teleport to pits after the countdown. Not actually sure the procedure for that. Here's hoping we won't see it today, but it would always actually be interesting to see. Reset the grid a little bit as everybody finalizing their setup changes. Sure, pit stop strategies are definitely being fuddled with as we speak. And Thomas Jack making his way out in front to begin the formation lap. And just to point out as well, Pierre Moreno currently sitting on top of the Platinum leaderboard, 1 point ahead of Unique Smith, who starts 2 positions ahead. Robin Moe only 2 points behind Unique Smith, so a lot of opportunity for him. And I believe this is Thomas Jack's only second entry of the series, despite it being round 3. And then again, interestingly enough, Daniel Scott ahead right now in the silver leaderboard. 19 points. Suicide or Cookie actually down there with 10 points. And Bingus McBongus with the unfortunate events that happened last week. Currently sitting second to last. So a lot of points on offer for the silver drivers. And Walrack for the bronze class currently sitting 12 points ahead of his teammate at the top of the standings. Has won round 1 and round 2, so we'll have to see if Walrack can keep the streak alive. A lot of points shuffling to be done in the championship standings today, I feel. Hour is a long time to go, as it looks like Thomas Jack may be trying to get some more heat into the brakes. It's 23 degrees, so it's not freezing. It's very wet. And you can see how many cars are on the track. We've 20 cars today. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but at this track it's a lot, trust me. It's a great shot of the pack bunching up, streaming down towards the final corner. I believe maybe some of the cars at the back of the pack might go green before Lodge Corner. It's the deep breath before the plunge, especially down into turn 1. So here we go, round 3 getting underway. Oh, and somebody into the pits there. I believe that was Davis behind. Not quite sure what happened there. A little bit of door rubbing into turn 1. Thomas Jack with the inside. The Porsche on the outside, almost fully on the curbs. No, looking like they'll still be side by side. Robin Moe with just the edge down into the left-hander has the position. Bingus McBongus has fallen back quite a bit. Yamik Smith on the attack. Kim Moreno on the inside, down towards the old hair corner. The hairpin. Yamik Smith off. And I'm sure the stewards will take a look at that. I don't think it was intentional. Jürgen Scheisen now on the attack of Robin Moe. Very, very aggressive move there. Did take the position. May have gained the advantage from the door bump. That was very much elbows out. Robin Moe trying now to regroup. Bingus McBongus now under attack from Pierre Moreno behind as well. I think now this sector, the Porsche really comes into its own, gets a lot more traction off the line. The grunt of the Lambo coming into play down the straight as they now pound down towards Druids. Looks like everybody making it through Druids fairly cleanly. Michael Randall's actually made up a couple of positions as well. Finds himself P7. Actually on the attack, got some Porsche on Porsche action. First lap down. Michael Randall very close behind the other Porsche. Ooh, losing a little bit of rear traction there around turn 1. Jürgen Scheisen looking like he wants the move on Thomas Jack. Great action from this top pack on the first lap. Oh, and Scheisen going a little bit deep into there. Perhaps losing a little bit of time. The rest of the pack not going anywhere. We've got a 9-car pack here. In the middle of it. Michael Randall still on the back of Bengarek. That's a great sight of all the cars cresting the hill. not sure if there was an incident at the back of the pack, but the back of the grid, but it has bunched up a fair amount. Jürgen still chasing down the rear. Huge drift there, and even Robin Moe finding himself off of the curbs. Puts a little gap between, makes a little gap for these top two cars to try and run away. Now Vengerek catching the rear of Pierre Moreno. Looks like Escheisen actually losing a little bit of time to Thomas Jack in the first sector, about 4/10 or so on that last go around. Dingus McBongus actually catching the rear of Robin Moe. Oh, I'm sure he was full clench there as he swung out wide towards the hairpin. Very scary to do. It's kind of what we saw Yamik Smith do earlier. Smith now finding himself P15. And these three Porsches still going at it. Michael Randall hounding the back of Vengerek. We had a car off at some point. I believe this car was sitting P10. Jump back with the Porsche battle. They now crest the hill on their way down towards Druids. Oh, train a little bit wide there. Daniel Scott looking like he wants to join the party as well. Pierre Moreno having to defend from Vengerek a little bit, slowing up the pace of things, allowing the two cars behind him to catch up. Oh, someone is exiting the pits there. Sure who that was. I think that was Walrack actually. Walrack now finding himself at the back of the grid and is off once again. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Ongo still chasing the rear of Robin Moe. Robin Moe finding himself the meat in a silver class sandwich. Like he actually wants to try and clear Jürgen Escheisen as fast as possible, as Daniel Scott just made a move on Michael Randall. Let's have a little look back at that. Michael Randall actually taking the esports line over first chicane. Daniel Scott says, "Thank you very much." And then we actually see Moreno having to defend hard from Vengerek into the second chicane also. So it's still very, very interesting up at the top. Moreno still ahead of Vengerek. Thomas Jack still ahead of Jürgen Escheisen, but Jürgen Escheisen not dropping anywhere. Let's have a look at their lap times. Last lap time, 38.7 for Thomas Jack, a 38.3. Which is the fastest lap of the race so far for Jürgen Escheisen, so this battle not going anywhere it seems. Bingus McBungus still chasing down Robin Moe. Vengerek side by side with Moreno. Just on the entry to turn 2, both of these going at it. Steaming down towards Island Bend now. Big lift from Vengerek, not looking to get himself in any trouble. Short shifting it seems as well, getting some extra traction. Perhaps at the cost of front end grip. Is fully on the attack now. Daniel Scott still behind, waiting to see if anything interesting happens. Meek Smith finding himself now moving up the ranks, has just taken P12 on big door bang there from the Lexus. Lexus didn't look like it wanted to turn in, so the stewards will take a look at that too. Seen a lot of door banging there into the first chicane. Have a look. Vengerex and Moreno's lap times near enough identical. Oh, and that's Jürgen Zescheisen off. What has happened? We need to know. Into Druids, loses the front end and finds himself going very wide indeed. Ooh. And that's really unfortunate for McBongus. Manages to keep it together, however. Still finds himself in P3 as well. Jürgen Zescheisen moving himself down into 8th place. Slots in right behind Michael Randall and has Philip Schmidt right behind him for good measure as well. Sure how much doesn't look like we've got any steering damage on the Lamborghini. McBongus, although probably suffering a little bit of damage, not suffering altogether, does have Pierre Moreno and the Vengerek battle behind him, so hopefully Vengerek picks up the pace, slows down these two a little bit more and allows McBongus to run away. Currently on track for a silver class win, is Michael Randall now on the attack of Daniel Scott down into the second chicane. Oh, and Jürgen Zescheisen going wide there, breaking through the barriers. Daniel Scott unperturbed by the attacking train boy. Flash of blue and orange in his rearview mirror, I'm sure, will be cause for alarm, but now train boy having to defend a little bit from the Ferrari behind. Jürgen Zescheisen not losing out huge amount. Still in contention in this battle as Tobias Vengerek still trying to make his way past Moreno. Half a second faster round the track than Moreno last time around. He has the pace, just doesn't have the ability to make a move stick anywhere in the track. And 4 cars now, all quite evenly spaced out. And Zescheisen now having to get past Philip Schmidt. Meanwhile, Daniel Scott and Michael Randall battle on just ahead. All train wants it. Cookie on the attack as well. Philip Schmidt having to defend hard on the inside. And you can get the move done on corner exit of the right-hander here. Oh, big bumps there on the exit curb. Just up ahead, Vengerek still chasing. Michael Randall still chasing. And Yamik Smith going off track there into the corner before Druids. It's very brave indeed. Super easy to lose the car there on the wet grass. And Daniel Scott putting about a second in between himself and Michael Randall. So this is the battle for P2 in silver class. And there's about 4 cars in it. Well, Cookie might be feeling quite frustrated, was battling for the lead of silver class at one point. Yamik Smith still trying to find his way past Aaron. Oh, you see a bit of a drift there from the QP Audi. Almost lost it halfway through Island Bend. Oh, you see, there's that bump on the entrance to the corner that really upsets the cars. These four cars still in their own little individual battles. McLaren looking very balanced indeed. Thought the Porsche would be strong here in the rain. But Thomas Jack and Daniel Scott proving otherwise. McLaren looking very competent indeed in these torrid conditions, frankly. Quarter of the way through the race, no pit stops made yet from the top 10 cars. And this pack has bunched up considerably in the last couple of laps. Vengerek and Moreno still going at it too. Moreno showing his high racecraft. Able to keep Vengerek from the racing line, however, goes a little bit deep into the hairpin. That bump. It's atrocious. Moreno looking like he's getting a bit more momentum in the slower corners, however, will have to perhaps defend. Vengerek thinks twice there. And this battle only 5 seconds ahead of this battle, as all of them getting very squirrely through there. Philip Schmidt, a little love tap on the rear end of Trainboy. Moving this way, that. They pound their way down towards Druids. Jürgen Scheisen looking like he wants a look as well. And Daniel Scott will be laughing as Michael Randall having to defend from two cars, essentially. That will allow him to run away a little bit. Oh, and we've got contact. I looked away from the broadcast for a second just to check on the timing screen. Stewards again will take a look at that. Dare I move away from this to see what happened? I think I can go back to that. So Daniel Scott now with 2 seconds ahead. You can just see the gap he's gotten himself. And he will be laughing as Robin Moe into the pits for his first scheduled pit stop. Actually on his way out of the pits. McBonga's finding himself P2. The strategy going to be very important today, I feel. Ryan Page finds himself on the rear of Robin Moe. After that pit stop. Jump back with this battle because it is mighty exciting. Big bumps there over the right-hander. Said earlier the track was bumpy and it's really showing itself today. It's like we will be wet for the entirety of this race. Oh. Philip Schmidt really hanging on to the back of Cookie there as Vengerek moves into the pits on his pit stop. First of the day for the Porsche. And we can now go back and just have a look at the incident through the large corner. Oh, and it was Philip Schmidt tapping the rear of Trainboy, but the safety punt for good measure. Fairly standard, really. Philip Schmidt. Oh, Scheisen off the track there. Looks like they're very similar to the incident we saw with Yamik Smith earlier, and Philip Schmidt actually letting Scheisen regain that position, so that will maybe lessen his penalty should the stewards decide that he is deserving of one. Problem is, however, the amount of time he's now lost to Michael Randall, who has now effectively been released to chase down the rear of Daniel Scott. The pit stop strategy in full swing now as the grid now finds itself fairly well spaced out. This the really only close battle happening right now. Will all change fairly soon. Trying to find pit delta. 48 seconds it was for Robin Moe. I assume that would be Oulton tyres. Pretty short pit lane here as Michael Randall into the pits. Jürgen Scheisen also into the pits, perhaps in response to Michael Randall's pit stop, as Thomas Jack finds his way off at Island Bend. Let's see what happened here. Through Island Bend, yeah, just takes it wide, hits the white paint on the outside, and that sends the car spinning. Does well to hold the brakes, however. Stay out of the way of that Lexus. Somehow, Thomas Jack still in P1 after spinning. And we actually have 4 cars in the pits right now. Change this to... Yep, there you go. Robin Moe with a lot of time to make up to catch Thomas Jack, even with the pit delta. Might be close. The undercut might actually work here. As Ryan Page again finds himself behind one of the net top 5 cars in Vengerek. Ryan Page currently leading the bronze class with Benjamin Wolrack finding himself at the rear of the grid. See if we can see anything on race control with the 14 car. May have just lost it by himself as both Bingus McBongus and Pierre Moreno enter the pits. Daniel Scott finding himself in P2. Pierre Moreno released from the pits should find himself perhaps coming out just ahead of Robin Moe. Actually well ahead of Robin Moe. Actually behind Aaron, who himself is yet to pit. Robin Moe about 10 seconds behind Pierre Moreno. Lots of incidents today have really shaken the grid up. Eli Schwartz just moving down a position courtesy of Jürgen Scheisen. Now Benjamin Wolrack on the rear of Justin Gottlieb. It's a fair amount of interclass battles right now as Aaron Fiedelac moves out of the way for Pierre Moreno. I think once everybody else pits, we'll get more of an idea of how good the pit stops are as Thomas Jack moves in to reshoe his car. And his the sister car moving into P1 overall. And Ryan Page, maybe some duress under braking, as we saw Jürgen Scheisen fall victim to earlier. Yamik Smith also into the pits, as is Aaron Fiedelac. Pierre Moreno back into the pits as well. Not sure if this is part of his strategy. Ryan Page with a drive-through penalty. I'm willing to bet that is for track limit infringements. Looks like he might have some damage as well, because he is not stable right now, but is the leader of the bronze class. And the Nissan GTR not far behind. He has Michael Randall for company. Another inter-class battle here. With the drive-through penalty, Kurakami may be able to take a class win here. Yet to pit himself, and I am curious to see if Pilarino only with one pit stop, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe I got it wrong and he wasn't in the pits when I thought he was. But Daniel Scott moving into the pits, and Robin Moe finding himself ahead of Thomas Jack. So Thomas Jack with about 6 seconds to make up. So Robin Moe actually doing very well to get a pit stop done, find himself P3. So perhaps the undercut stronger than I thought, as Bingus McBongus with a drive-through penalty as well. So track limits seeming to be a bit of a point of contention for a lot of these drivers, as I think Kurakami loses it just on the exit of the second chicane. Let's try and find out what happened here. Or takes the curb and it just upsets the rear of the car. A little bit of a hop there. That's a shame because he was in contention for a class win. Might actually still be able to page with that drive-through. Sure if McBongus just took that drive-through or if it was cleared by someone. If I'm just seeing things. Oh, and Justin Gottlieb letting me know he had to drop due to his wheel disconnecting a few times. Yeah, the dark side of sim racing, unfortunately. Can't all be like Simone Pagenaud and do a rig swap in the middle of the race, but it's a shame. Happens to the best of us. You see it, Jürgen Scheisen there on full attack of the other Lambo. I believe that's Corey Davis. Practically everyone, apart from Philip Schmidt, in the lead, completing one of their 2 mandatory stops. Be interesting to see when the other stops occur, as Pierre Moreno is now finding himself staring at the Bentley's rear end. Hop back with this battle as 2 Lambos still going at it. Cookie may be hanging back a little bit just to see if he can get by both of them should they be battling. Corey Davis off wide at the exit of Lodge. Quite a classic thing to do, as it's quite easy to go wide at the exit of the first corner. Cookie now side by side. Oh! Cutting it back perhaps. A little bit of netcode there for good measure. Scheisen planning his move, I think. Waiting for a mistake, a slight one there as he goes deep into the hairpin. Ooh. About to say a little bit deep from the orange Lambo, and now side by side on the way to the chicane. Inside line for the right-hander for the orange car. Jürgen Scheisen not really anywhere to go there. I think the stewards will be happy to call that one a racing incident, as Philip Schmidt now finds himself into pit road. finally completing his green flag pit stop. It'll be everyone apart from Ryan Page completing half of their mandatory stops. Looking like he's got a lot of traction mid-corner. Oh, and has a really good run out on the exit of Lodge. Wants the inside for turn 1. It is the better line. He's going to have to send it here. Oh, and that's great driving from Corey Davis, actually. Did a good job to stay unfazed from the attacking green Lambo. Look, lap times last time round identical. Actually, 100th of a second in it. All skirting with fate. Both the Audi and Corey Davis riding the white line on the exit of Island Bend. We've seen how that can play out. Cookie moves around the outside. What a flex. Chad move. Had a much better exit and just actually went around the outside of the right-hander. And now is lining up a move on a Aaron. The silver class popping off right now. Actually, further up, I've just seen Michael Randall give way to Yamik Smith. And I believe that is Ben Walrack there. Oh. Dab of extra brake from Aaron might have phased Shizen just a little bit. Wasn't expecting it. Will the front end wash out a little bit. Michael Randall making his second green flag pit stop, as is Philip Schmidt. So I'm willing to bet those two battling it out via pit road. So we'll put Aaron and Jürgen Zerscheisen into P3 and P4 of silver class respectively. Yeah, Moreno now with a drive-through as well. This day seemingly going from bad to worse. And Kurakami, who was actually leading the bronze class, finding himself clear of pit stops. Michael Randall out of the pits. We go back here. These guys really close together. I think he had the move done last lap round on Corey Davis, who dives into the pits himself, I think, after that lap. Oh, a little bit deep into the left-hander. Does well to get the tyres hooked up, get the car stopped before he found himself off the track. Great move there. Fantastic 3 or so laps racing from Jürgen Zerscheisen. He's been all over the track today. And does it once more for good measure. Good save. Kept it going. Lives to fight another day. Only a second back. Has the pace to catch up, as we know. Oh, I'm interested now because Kurakami may be able to net himself P2 in class after Page pits. Not sure if he can catch up to this man, Alexander Close. Quite away in the distance is he. Jürgen Zerscheisen already back within a second of Aaron. These guys race together quite a bit. The teammates in Project A. A lot of respect here, I think. And has caught up within about half a lap, so never in doubt. Oh, and that's a big shunt in the rear end. Okay, I don't think there'll be a ticket raised for that one. No positions exchanged, despite the violence. And they go again. They both live to fight another day. Easy to do actually, because I'm sure these cars brake very differently. Oh, a late move there. Very, very late move indeed. Not going to pay off though. Or maybe it will, because Aaron into the pits. Oh, and that actually gave Jürgen Zerscheisen a drive-through. Oh, I didn't go back far enough, but just cutting the entry into large, easy to do, especially when you're trying to send it like that. Not sure if Fiedelack overslowed to prepare for the peel off into pit lane. That will actually effectively put an end to that battle. Philip Schmidt, Michael Randall still going at it. About half a second away from each other, and I believe that's a Daniel Scott in the background. Or it's Thomas Jack. It is Thomas Jack. Interesting. Thomas Jack finding himself lapping a lot of the grid, but still with a pit stop to go. And then the biggest undercut attempt we're seeing is from Aaron. Actually, Michael Randall, so we'll see where he ends up. That's Robin Moe ahead of him, so big shuffle at the top of the grid indeed. Michael Randall still with Philip Schmidt directly behind. Remember, these guys did pit together essentially, so they've been battling all throughout the race, including inside pit lane. Everything, for the most part, calming down. Sure, the final round of pit stops from that top 10. It's definitely going to shuffle things around. Have to keep an eye out for when Ryan Page comes into pits to serve that final pit stop. Ooh! Very scary whenever I see a car go wide. And Hulubeck finding himself off turn 2. Quite sure what happened here. I'll just sent it too deep. Loses the rear almost in slow motion. Quite a tame one compared to some of the ones we've seen today. Have to see perhaps looking at a little bit of highlights throughout the race. This was beginning of the race, and just that door bang between the top two cars there. And here was this other one. This is the one with Yamik and Pierre Moreno. Oh, car's width was given. Wondering if anything will come of that via the steward's room. Luke Smith not losing a terrible amount of time on that. Michael Randall still climbing up the ranks. Finds the top car of bronze class ahead of him. Jürgen Zerscheisen into the pits for his final pit stop of the day. Ooh, very unstable rear end around turn 1 there from the Porsche. Not what I expected to see at all. Yamik Smith finding himself trying to get past Daniel Scott. Through Druids they go. all these cars still to pit. Thomas Jack in the pits, I should mention. This technically is for position, but Philip Schmidt now having to find his way past the lead bronze car as Michael Randall just did. Meek Smith now hot on the tail of Daniel. Daniel Scott finds himself actually only 5 seconds behind Bingus McBonga, so a class win very much on the cards. Actually, if he gets his pit strategy right. Bentley, I think, going to suffer through the slower corners, especially compared to the McLaren. But it's these short, flat-out sections where the Bentley's really going to come into its own. Thomas Jack out in P6, actually is 13 seconds behind this battle. Robin Moe into the pits now, I'm guessing with his final pit stop, and there goes Train Boy as well. Oh, and through Druids side by side almost. Daniel Scott just keeping the lead. Oh, and a late braking from the Bentley. Very smart move indeed, just gets it done, and I think we might see Daniel Scott into the pits. No. Wants to stay out in battle for a little bit longer. Maybe we'll respond to Yamik. Having a look at Robin Moe, he's exiting the pits. Where is Thomas Jack? It's going to be close. 5 seconds in it. You see Thomas Jack there in the distance. A little bit of work to do. Meek Smith now with a bit of a gap. There's a yellow flag. That is Benjamin Wolrack, I believe. Yep. Ryan Page still not into the pits. 18 seconds is the gap. Sorry, 20... Actually, it's 42 seconds for Kirakami, who actually finds himself off track on the exit of the second chicane before they get to the old hill. And Yamik Smith now with a little bit of a gap between himself and Daniel Scott as well. The top 4 cars all to pit. Sure, Yamik is actually going to do whatever it is Daniel does, perhaps, just to get a higher overall position. Yeah, Moreno with a stop to go still as well. Bingus McBongus enters the pits, doing his final pit stop, as does Yamik Smith. Daniel Scott staying out longer. Robin Moe moving himself up into P3. I believe that this will be this is P1 net. Everybody else ahead of him still to pit. Thomas Jack putting in the fastest lap of the race last time around, 38.1. See how violent the bumps are, especially mid-corner there, very wide. You know, a lot of drivers get a drive through. Doesn't want to give himself one, I'm sure. Seen many good battles, a lot of the interclass battles today too, as well as this one, the battle for the lead overall. Just about 4 seconds separating these two cars. And interestingly enough, Thomas Jack's and Robin Moe's best laps only 5 1/1000ths of a second between them. Daniel Scott earning himself a drive-through, and I'm sure That's going to be painful indeed, although, oh, he does have a stop to make. So Bingus McBongus without another stop to make puts himself net P1 in this race for his class. Daniel Scott serving his drive-through now. Bingus McBongus should overtake him on his next pit stop. Be interested to see when Vengerek pits as well. Right now should find himself. Might be able to get out ahead of Pierre Moreno. Should he pit this lap and Moreno stay out. Be very close pace-wise as well. Vengerek putting in a personal best last time round for 39.1. Pierre Moreno's last lap of 39.6, so there's a fair amount of comfort in that. And Pierre Moreno is now trying to get past Daniel Scott. This is another interclass battle. I believe that's Holubeck behind, it is. Just see how much more exit traction the Porsche has. Oh, riding the grass there. I think Daniel Scott trying to just move out of the way. He knows it's not his fight, especially with both of them having to pit. I wonder if either of them pit this time round. I think if Daniel Scott pits now, he can still salvage a P2 finish in class. And he does. So it'll be, I think, yeah, McBongus will definitely overtake. He rounds himself around Druids. Oh! Lots of people getting very loose on the exit there. Question is, will Philip Schmidt be able to make it past the start-finish line before Daniel Scott exits the pits? Coming around Lodge now, through the crest. Daniel Scott still in his pit box, so I think he's going to have some work to do. Just gets the jacks lowered there. Right as Philip Schmidt passes. He's going to have a lot of work to do, I think. Try and get that P2 spot back. I think the gap now about 8.5 seconds or so after all said and done. Not an insurmountable amount of time. Their best laps are very similar as well, so have to see there. Meanwhile, Jürgen Scheisen back with a little orange 0.8 on my timing screen. Facing down the rear of Corey Davis once again, and Michael Randall just ahead as well. Daniel Scott now P3 in class, but Michael Randall catching at a rate of knots. Only 5 seconds separate them. Well, I'll keep a close eye on that. Jürgen Scheisen now on full attack mode once again. Saw these guys battle earlier. Not the Lambo on Lambo battle I thought I'd be seeing, but one that I would, I'll take it, as it has been quite good. Thomas Jack actually last lap 38.5, improving his best time by about a tenth or so. Under a tenth, I should say. Speaking of Thomas Jack, he has about 3 seconds to the rear of Robin Moe. Vengerek finally in the pits for his last pit stop. So might find himself battling with Pierre Moreno on pit exit, which we saw them go at it earlier too. Ooh, Corey Davis almost washing the front end out, and Thomas Jack with a drive-through. He'll take that straight away, I'm sure. Let's just see if we can see where that happened. Is it at Druids? Or at Lodge? Oh, I might have missed it, so it might have been at Druids then. But a big shame. And I'm sure Robin Moe taking advantage of that. He actually pits as well. Not sure. Oh, I thought he'd already cleared his last pit stop. Well, yeah, this is his third stop. There's something going on there, maybe underfueled, or have to maybe find out from the end of the race, but essentially, what has that done? I mean, Thomas Jack now finds himself at the top of the grid. Pierre Moreno 1.9 seconds behind, but has to pit once more, and then Vengerek about 3 seconds behind this. Mo's time stopped is a minute or so. Really not sure what's happened there as we hop back to this little scuff. Whoa! Lambo, orange Lambo, almost losing it completely on the exit of turn 1. Kind of allowed Cookie to go around the outside. Robin Moe still in the pit, so big shame from him. Really not sure what's happened. Yeah, Moreno into the pits on his final stop. Don't speed into the pits. He just got that slowed down there. Unique Smith rubbing his hands together, I think should definitely get P3 in the Platinum class. Crazy format, really made strategy worth it. Because McBonga's finding himself top of his class. I'm sure he'll be quite happy with today's result, should it hold over the next 9 minutes. There's that back marker to work around. A difficult spot to deal with back markers. Mercedes doing really well, actually. And Unique Smith bearing down on him. Aaron going slowly once again. Having some issues with the Audi. Everybody getting drive-throughs and unnecessary pit stops. Robin Moe finally released from the pits, was stopped for 2 minutes and 25 seconds. I'm seeing anything on the race control suggesting that there was a big incident. Despite a spin and a drive-through penalty. Did Tom? I don't think Tom had a drive-through. Maybe he did. He has stopped 3 times. Regardless, finds himself at the very top. Has Vengerek behind. Putting in some good lap times actually, but I'm not sure he's got enough time to do anything about it. And Alex Close, who we saw getting out of the way at the chicane, leading. leading bronze class, as I'm just looking, Corey Davis and Robin Moe, both with drive-through penalties, so everybody's still continuing to struggle with those track limits. And Robin Moe's days just went from bad to worse. Yellow flags once again for Aaron, so more struggles continue in the Audi. Carrying any steering damage, doesn't look like it. Not seeing any huge amounts of damage anywhere on the car, so couple more looks at some key points in the race. This is some contact, I believe, between Cookie and Bongus. Oh, that's the big one. You just see McBongus able to keep it together. And then a little later, we see, oh yeah, was when Cookie, yeah, I think the stewards will take a look at that rejoin indeed. Just, I think outbroke himself into the chicane. And that battle again with Corey Davis, just neither of them with anywhere to go. I think that one will definitely be the racing incident out of all of those. Back to live timing. Everything ironing itself out. You got the bronze leader, perhaps looking at a move on Aaron. Four and a half minutes left to go. Not a lot of time for people to make up any more positions. Field fairly spread out at this point. Robin Moe still with his drive-through to serve. Apex is so fast, he's not in the timings anymore. Here's Scheisen finding himself again trying to chase down Train Boy, who gets very loose around the hairpin. Train loose and on the grass on the exit of the chicane. Oh, bump doing nobody's favors there. And they'll be side by side into Druids. We love to see this. Oh, Train going wide. Goes deep. And Cookie able to read it, slots it through. Great move from him there. Just have a look at that again. See ya. He says, thank you very much. Continues down the racetrack. There is Robin Moe still to serve, or perhaps not, did serve his drive-through. Doesn't need to anymore. We've actually got a little battle here at the back of the grid for bronze class. Oh, just touched the left-hand side of Druids. Sends the car around. Another classic off for this track. Robin Moe finds himself sideways at the hairpin after Island Bend. Oh, does the exact same thing, just brakes on the grass, sends the car around, does well to keep it out of the wall, however. And interestingly enough, Ymeek Smith unable to catch the rear of Bingus McBongus. Just a testament there to Bingus McBongus's pace. Best lap is actually quite identical to Ymeek's, only 0.2 split it. First in silver class and third overall. A stunning finish for a silver class car. Now Lubeck trying to get past the top bronze car. Oh, puts himself a little bit too deep into the hairpin. He's got to slow it up a bit. Asked far too much of the front tyres there. Trying to deal with the power and steering and rain. And Aaron trying to push himself up another position as he's now behind Eli Schwartz, so a double silver class Audi battle for the last lap. As we just heard the man say, the leader is now on the final lap of the race. Elak dropped back quite a fair amount on that last lap, actually invalidated, so I'm sure he's gone off track somewhere, lost that gap. This battle, however, still happening. Porsche wants the inside, double thinks about it. Oh, getting a really good exit actually, took a nice wide entry into that corner, goes at the outside. Bit of door banging, more door banging. It just wasn't to be. Lubeck actually with a drive-through to serve. Thomas Jack now through Druids for the final time. Heads down towards Lodge to round out round 3 of our P-Series. With a win in his first appearance in the series. There's Robin Moe. The battle that should have been. A big congrats to Robin Moe. I think Robin Moe slowing up so he didn't have to do another lap, which is quite smart. Engaret crossing the line to take P2 in Platinum class, and Bingus McBongus on his way through Lodge for the final time to take the win in Silver class. Happy for him as he had a bit of bad luck for the first 2 rounds. Really proves his skills with a class win. Ymeek Smith rounding out the podium of Platinum class. Philip Schmidt on his way through Druids on the way down. Take P2 in the standings. Pierre Moreno right behind. P4 for him, which is not bad considering the circumstances of the day. Daniel Scott going to nab the final spot of the silver podium. Good drive from him today as well. Has been all over the track, battling, fighting, as well as Jürgen Zerscheisen, finishing not too far behind Daniel Scott in the end. Started the race very high up, found himself towards the rear of his class, and then Michael Randall coming in P5. Alexander Close is going to take the win in bronze class. Ryan Page and Kurakami taking the next 2 spots, as I believe, Walrek leaving the server but finding himself P4 in class. A little bit of celebratory kinetic motion there. See if we can't just see the beginning of the race one more time. This was Thomas Jack rounding the final corner. Let's just speed this up a little bit. I just want to see the beginning. Did very well there. Despite losing out on the position to Robin Moe temporarily, does a good job of getting it back. Looking a little bit further back. Angus McBongus did really well to get through Yamik Smith, keep him on the outside. And here's this incident once more. Oh, that's going to be such a close one for the stewards to call. If we've got anybody in the waiting room, not currently. I think actually today I might end the stream here. James Andrews has just mentioned to me in the Discord chat, I should have named the stream Oulton Park, try not to get a drive-through challenge. And then in all caps, impossible. It was a tough race to watch for a lot of the drivers here. I am very, very glad that we got through the end of it. Thomas Jack with the overall and platinum win. Bingus McBongus with your silver win. And Alexander Close with your bronze win. All in all, a lot of points being shuffled around in the championship tables. And thank you so much to everybody who organised the race, the safety car drivers, the stewards who are invariably going to be quite busy at the end of this. And yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream there. Not before mentioning, however, USA Race and Chill is finally here. Been a long time coming. Those of you that know how fun Race and Chill can be, and how long we've been waiting for a US friendly time. So this will be 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern every Saturday, except for those Saturdays that run ACC Endurance. So we're starting off with a banger, Bikanyeki, which is everybody. It's kind of become the unofficial Racing Pals test circuit. But Sean Clark's fabulous BTCC cars, which are very evenly matched. I believe actually all of them, apart from the Audi, are exactly the same spec in terms of power to weight ratio and all of that good stuff. So that should be a lot of fun. Hit up the Discord for sure. Find out more about that. And the day after that, on the Sunday, Going to be round 4 of Project Ameliorate, or Project 8. There's my teammate's car in all of its resplendence. But it'll be Virginia International Raceway, which is a fantastic track. Can't wait for that one. Join us here for that. Do join the Discord. The link is in the description below if you are not part of the Discord and would like to find out more about casual and league events. And check the description as well. We do now actually have Patreon live. We are going to be announcing that fully in the Discord later this weekend, perhaps tomorrow. But helps support Racing Pals in terms of server resources, live steward resources, and everything that needs a bit of financial backing. But some really cool rewards for the Patreon levels, including some on-demand coaching as well at one point. So that's going to be popping once it gets really going. Link is in the description of this stream if you do want to find more out about that. But until then, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for racing and providing such good entertainment for the afternoon. We have a dry practice session and then wet quali and race. Always going to make things really interesting. Congratulations to all of the class winners and podium sitters and everybody else who just managed to finish, really, because it looked quite brutal out there, especially with the track cuts. But until next week, until next round, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.